Welcome to Chapman Academy. This is a platform for you to grow and advance your research writing skills. So I recommend you subscribe and share Chapman Academy with all your friends and colleagues. Just search in Chapman Academy on YouTube and all other social media platforms and get in touch so that we all grow and advance our research writing skill. So I've been taking you through the various study designs that you can employ in your research work. So I did the theoretical aspect of how you can understand the various study designs. I took you through several study designs. That is the cross-sectional study, the randomized control, we did the cohort study, case control. We did several study designs. So I'm now going to take you through how you can bring it to effect in real time, how you can put it into your work and make it meaningful to your work. So today I'm going to take you through cross-sectional study design, how you can adopt cross-sectional study design into your work. And then before you take any study design or you apply any study design to your work, you need to make sure and then understand the reason why that study design is important to your work. So you need to understand your work and then the best fitting study design that can be applied to your work. So this work, the topic is knowledge, attitude, and practice regarding exclusive breastfeeding. So this study is among teenage mothers. So we are assessing the knowledge of teenage mothers in terms of their attitude and then practices based on exclusive breastfeeding. So we intend to use a cross-sectional study because we want to know the prevalence. Cross-sectional study works best with prevalence detection. So if you want to come up with a prevalence, then you need to go in for cross-sectional study. And then we just need the data at one point in time, at a spot, a snapshot. Then we take our data and then we go. So that is why cross-sectional study is best fitting for this particular topic. And then we also want to generalize it to the general population, make assumption that this percentage of this community are practicing exclusive breastfeeding. So that's why we are using the cross-sectional study, because it's best fits than the other study designs. Like if you want to use cohort study, then it will also take time. So in applying it real time to your study, so this is how it will go. So you first explain the cross-sectional study. So you let your audience know the particular study design you are going to talk about. So you tell them you are going to use cross-sectional study design. Then you tell us the reason why you are using the cross-sectional study design. Then you talk about why there is a need to use the cross-sectional study, about the importance of cross-sectional study design. So if you are new here, I've done videos and several lessons on the various study designs. So you can go to the page and you go through the videos, you search in for cross-sectional study, everything. I've given all the rudiments on cross-sectional study design in the videos that I did previously. And then you go ahead to talk about the limitations of the cross-sectional study design, because every study design is limited to certain parameters. It is unable to measure or account for some parameters. So you talk about the limitations that might occur. So upon talking about the limitation that will occur, then you need to go ahead to talk about the strength, because upon all the limitation, it doesn't mean that the study design cannot be applied. But with this particular strength, we will be able to minimize this limitation, or we will be able to account for this particular limitation. So that is how the study design work. So you need to give account about the study design, and then you also have to talk about studies that have also used the study design. You need to prove that yes, other studies have also used it, and then they also got a very meaningful and driven result. So that is how it's supposed to be. So you don't just have to talk about it like that without showing evidence of practicality. You need to show evidence of practicality, how people have also found it useful in their work, so that when someone also wants to get more insight into that particular study, they can also refer to those studies and see how they also did their own. And then if they want to adopt it to their study, they can also pick it. Then you also have to talk about how you are going to control the limitations and then the bias that will come, how you are going to control them, because definitely they will arise. Some confounding variables will appear. How are you going to account for them? How are you going to account for the bias that will come? So you need to make sure that you explain all this, you provide evidence that will give account to all these biases that will arise and all these limitations. Because if you are unable to do this, it means that there is no need. Your study design is not of importance to this study. You can't operationalize this study design to your work. So let's come to the field, and then we see how it goes when you are applying it, because just saying it without applying it sometimes becomes difficult for students and other people to operationalize it. So I'm going to take you through step by step practical approach that you can use in order to put in a particular study design to your work. So I'm going to take you through a cross-sectional study design. So with the study design, it says a descriptive cross-sectional study design was used for this research because it allowed comprehensive assessment of teenage mothers' knowledge, attitude, and practice regarding exclusive breastfeeding at a single point in time. At a single point in time. So we've identified the study design that we are going to use, and then we've also explained it that it is good for taking data at a particular point in time, a snapshot. So this, when you continue, this approach is practically suitable for understanding current trends and variations in EBF, that is exclusive breastfeeding practices among teenage mothers, and without requiring long-term follow-up. So you see, we are talking about the strength of the study. And then according to Omar 2015, so this is what other people are also talking about. You see, I told you that you need to give account to what others have also used these studies for, this particular study design, how others have also used it. So you see, you need to talk about what other people have also found with this study. So according to Omar 2015, cross-sectional study effectively describe the characteristics of a representative sample, making it possible to generalize findings to a larger population. Muhajan 2022 note that cross-sectional designs are time efficient, practical, especially when collecting data from a large number of participants. They are all talking about the strength of the study design. Given focus of this study, this design was appropriate for gathering rapid yet insightful data on factors influencing exclusive breastfeeding among teenage mothers. You see? So when we come here, then we talk about the limitation. So however, recognizing the limitations of cross-sectional studies, such as their inability to establish causation measures were taken to enhance data reliability. You see, so we provided accounts so that we can make space to enhance data reliability. So with that, a 5% non-response rate was accounted for in the sample size, and ethical consideration including confidentiality and then voluntary participation were assured. Additionally, efforts were made to minimize selection bias by adopting standard data collection procedures. Employing a descriptive cross-sectional approach, this study was able to effectively capture the existing knowledge, attitude, and practice of teenage mothers regarding exclusive breastfeeding, providing essential insight information for future maternal and child interventions. So you see, we talked about the limitations of the study, and then how we're able to account and then also minimize and curb those limitations. So that is how you need to put your study design, how you were able to account it, how you were able to minimize your limitations so that your study, your results that you get become relevant and then reliable. You can generalize it to the population. So you need to put your study design in this way so that when someone wants to also pick this particular study design into their work, they will be able to understand it and then use it properly. So this is how you should put your study design into consideration, and then you explain it in this way. You give brief account of it, you cite references of what other people are also saying, you go ahead to talk about the strengths and then the limitation, and upon the limitation that you stated, how you were able to overcome it. Notwithstanding all the limitations, this particular study design is able to do this, that. So this is where I will end with this cross-sectional study today. Thank you for following and also sharing with your colleagues and friends. I recommend you subscribe to Chapman Academy so that you'll be able to get more understanding and knowledge to research writing, and you also become perfect in writing your own research papers. Subscribe to Chapman Academy, share with friends, share with families, share with lovers and everybody so that they can also learn new things about research every day. Chapman Academy, see you there.